Hey guys, how you doing? I'm doing pretty good. We've all seen and heard about the riots in Atlanta, and I don't watch CNN or MSNBC or any of the networks. I don't care to because they don't get it right. Okay? So, on the news this morning, they showed a soundbite of those networks responding to our claim about how violent the riots are. And one person said, that's all we hear is violent, 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 violent. The only violence I saw was the police against the riot, against the protesters. You had to struggle that much to articulate what violence you saw. You were struggling to answer. The only violence I saw was the police attacks on the protesters. Obviously, you are so brainwashed into believing that this is not violent that you had to think about it. You had to think about what was violent, because you don't see violence. It's like a rose-colored glasses. I know people who have certain colored glasses, and they're like the Emperor's New Clothes. That's even a better analogy. The Emperor's New Clothes, with these people, okay, who do not have connecting brain cells, okay. Now, and they call it mostly peaceful. Mostly is not a word that you apply to describe peaceful. It's either peaceful or it isn't peaceful. Okay, it's like saying, well, she's mostly pregnant. Okay, same difference. Okay, either you're pregnant or you're not pregnant. But you can't say, well, she's mostly pregnant or she's slightly pregnant or you know what I'm saying. So mostly peaceful, that mostly does not apply to something like peaceful. Okay, either you're peaceful or you're not peaceful. Either you're pregnant or you're not pregnant. Okay, so let's get rid of mostly peaceful, because that does not exist. That doesn't exist any more than mostly pregnant does not exist. Okay? Not only that, okay? Now, mostly peaceful protests. So he's protecting there were mostly peaceful protests, and they are protected by the law. No, they're not. constitutionally, okay, the Constitution says very clearly that Congress shall make no law prohibiting the free exercise of peaceful assembly and a right to petition the government for any grievances. Okay, I saw no petitioning against for petitioning of the government. Okay, there was no petitioning, and there was no peaceful assembly. When I think of peaceful assembly, I think of the many, 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 many years of standing in front of whatever, with signs and walking and just, that's peaceful assembly, where there is not, where they're not attacking anybody or anything. They're not even bothering anybody's personal space. Okay? Peaceful assembly is different than mostly peaceful protest. Okay? Peaceful assembly is protest, because you're protesting against something. So in your protesting, you are assembling people and peacefully with signs and said, this is what we are grievant about. This is what we're upset about. Okay? And this is just a peaceful assembly. You're assembling people. They're not smashing windows. They're not setting fires. They're not destroying businesses. They're not looting. They're not hitting anybody. Okay? Mostly peaceful. When you think of the word most, okay? Now, here's something here. If you call it mostly peaceful, then what is the minority aspect of it, right? We learned in grade school the difference between some, more, most, and all, and none, right? We have none, we have some, we have more, we have most, and we have all. Okay, in terms of percentages. So if it's 50%, it's half and half. Okay. If it's less than 50%, then we say some. But if it's more than 50%, it is most. And if it is 100%, it is all. Okay? Now, if it's most on something, it has to be less of something else. Okay? So, we have most of the... Okay, let's give it to you, okay? Most of the donuts in the box are jelly. That means a few are not jelly. Most of the cookies are chocolate chip. Does it mean all? No, it doesn't. It means most. That means there's some that are not chocolate chip. So, if they say it's mostly peaceful, then what do they call the small percentage that is not peaceful? peaceful. Nobody thinks to ask that. They're asking us to accept their description of mostly peaceful, and that's it. So we have like 75% peaceful, but 25% is undetermined. Because that's basically what you say, you know. It's 75% chocolate chip, 25% oatmeal. Okay. 75% of the donuts have holes in it. 25% of the donuts are jelly filled. Okay. You describe most, but you have to include the minority amount, the small amount, to have on the whole. Because if you don't, then it's not most, it's all. Okay, because if you're excluding the percentage, the small percentage, okay, then the whole, the 100%, is changed. It's changed to having only that you are identifying. Okay? That's the way the word mostly works. None, some, more, most, and all. That's the way those words work. Okay? You say, most of the students are boys. Well, that means there are some that are girls. But if you don't include the girls, then you're saying, well, then that's all of them. Because there's no other students in that class, because we've eliminated them from the total. That means that, yeah, that means most is really all, if you're not including the others. So when they say mostly peaceful, and that's all they say is mostly peaceful, then what would you call the small percentage? Ah, I would say violent. Because the opposite of peaceful is violent. If it's not peaceful, then what is it? Violent. Okay. Yeah, that's the way that works. Warlike, let's put it that way, okay? During the Vietnam protests, okay, I guess protests would be them speaking loudly, okay, but they would stand at a podium, use a megaphone, and speak their grievances. That's basically, but that's the assembly part, okay? They've assembled all these people, so sometimes you're walking in front of the building, and sometimes you're standing there, and someone's at a podium and speaking it through a megaphone at the crowd, and saying, We're standing here today in the protest. Okay. It's still a peaceful assembly. No hitting, no shoving, no breaking of windows, no setting anything on fire. That is a peaceful assembly, and that is protected by the Constitution. Peaceful assembly. Now, what they did in Atlanta and what they were doing during 2020 and all across our country is similar to the kind of riots we experienced in the 1960s. The riots, I forget the city. And they were attacking people. They were setting things on fire. It's no different what they did in the 60s than what they're doing today. With the setting on people, setting things on fire, smashing, you know. It's rioting. It's still a riot. But like I said, if they say it's mostly peaceful, well then what is it? What's that small percentage? What's that small percentage? They don't articulate that. No, they don't say anything about that small percentage. They only want you to hear mostly peaceful, but slightly nothing, which would make up the 100%, which would make up all. Okay? So it would have to be violent. So we have mostly peaceful. Where's the peaceful part? That's what I don't understand. Where's the peaceful part? I didn't see any peaceful anything. I saw them setting buildings on fire, smashing windows, you know. So I just wanted to present my response to what the liberals are calling Atlanta's rioting as mostly peaceful, and that's a expression that doesn't make sense. It's technically not a working phrase, like mostly pregnant, you know. Either you're pregnant or you're not pregnant. You're mostly born. Okay, that's a good one. Either you're born or you're not born. So we could say, hey, you're mostly born. Alright, mostly pregnant, mostly born, mostly private. Oh, that's a good one. Or mostly unique. That's a good one. Mostly unique, mostly mostly isolated. Mostly isolated. That's a good one. Oh yeah, he's mostly isolated. Yeah. So you want to talk about mostly peaceful, I'll tell you about mostly pregnant, mostly isolated, mostly born, mostly happy, or mostly sad. Well, I don't know. Alright. Scratch that, reverse that, okay. No, that might not work. Okay, but mostly peaceful, mostly pregnant, mostly born, mostly isolated. You know, I don't even know about mostly isolated. I mean, you really have to be mostly deserted on an island. He's on a small island with water all around him, yet he's mostly isolated. Huh? I'm looking at a man with water all around him, with one tree, and water stretching for miles around. But he's mostly isolated, mostly alone. I don't know. It's all stupid, as far as I can tell. So we'll just stick to mostly pregnant. I think that's the best one. Okay. Anyway, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening again. I'll see you soon. Take care, guys. All right. Bye.